As proud sponsors of the Leicester Tigers Women, we recently brought 3 players together for a conversation to celebrate International Women's Day. We covered a lot of topics, including what it means to perform at a high level in a sport that is traditionally male-dominated, and the realities of building a career in women's rugby. It was an incredibly open and insightful conversation, and we're so grateful to the players for their willingness to share their experiences so candidly. Hi girls, welcome to J&J. We're going to have a great chat today. How about we start with introducing yourselves and your roles within the team?
Yeah, I'm Deni Ross. I play a lot for Leicester Tigers and I'm from Australia.
I'm Micke Gunter. I play hooker for Leicester Tigers and I'm from South Africa.
I'm Jemima McCalman and I play centre and I'm also from Australia, like Deni.
Amazing. And how long have you been playing with Leicester Tigers?
This is my first season.
Yeah, first season from September.
Yeah.
You? Same as everyone, first season.
Excellent, all first season. So I'm curious to understand at what point in your life did you realise that you wanted to be a female professional rugby player?
I think I've always wanted to be a professional sports woman, but I tried my hand at athletics, wasn't very good at that. Tried my hand at netball, decided that wasn't the sport for me, and then landed on rugby. But I think it was just something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, for me, it was also like the fact that I knew I would be a sportswoman one day, but honestly, I didn't know what it was. I was involved in a whole lot of sports throughout school and post that, but it was something within me that knew rugby would take off and there was a future in it and I could make it a passion of mine.
And specifically for women?
Yeah, going forward.
Anticipating the growth.
Yeah. So I'm glad I picked it. It picked me.
Yeah.
It does pick you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because I was the same as the girls. Like you tried so many different sports and you're capable and good sports people at all of them, but it doesn't quite click until you play rugby and then you go, oh, this is where I needed to be. And I was really lucky. I had a very rugby dominant family. Everyone watched it. I think it's best day of my dad's life.
Australians.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, Australians and South Africans, right?
Yeah, I think as well, growing up, rugby wasn't really a sport for girls. Especially in Australia, it was either netball or soccer or that sort of stuff. Whereas rugby these days are like so many young girls are into it.
Yeah,
which is really nice to see.
I think from both of our spaces, touch rugby is quite a big thing, and that's where girls start. And I think that's a great platform because teaches you those skills, obviously team environment, and then I think they started a bit later the contact, but that's changing now, all back home. So
So it was changing from being a non-contact sport to now being a contact sport.
Well, more specifically, the availability to girls, young girls. Yeah. We'd have like a girl joining a boys' team that's 6 years old and they play with all boys.
So I read a really interesting fact last night that I wasn't aware of, that rugby for women has been around since the 1800s. But it was only since 2019 that it's been professionalised. What is it that you are still having to build that men didn't have to think of?
Well, what comes to mind for me first is that stigma that women shouldn't play rugby, and I think that's something we're maybe not building but breaking through, and that's probably something the men never had to experience. Just gaining followers and people that support us, and it's an ongoing thing, I think.
Where do you feel that stigma comes from? Is it a particular demographic, or do you feel that in general there is a stigma?
I actually think it's in general, obviously probably predominantly from men thinking this is a male sport and women shouldn't be involved, but then also in older generations. Like I have a lot of my grandma's friends who are women, and my grandma is the most capable person I know, but they all say to her, like, should your granddaughter be playing contact? Like, is her body built for that? So I think it's generally like people just not understanding because it's previously been so far into them.
Yeah, and as well as we obviously play a different style of rugby. We're not as big as bodies as the men. We tend to play the ball a bit more than the men instead of hitting it up a bit more physically. But that's also a perk as well. It's a bit more exciting to watch with the ball in play a lot longer. So it's that slight difference as well. which is exciting.
Don't get Deni Ross, it's physical.
No, absolutely. It's not that You know, and I think stereotypically you'd think like, oh, these are massive men, and we're not that size, but we bring our own physicality in our own way.
And I think also to go back to your point, Clara, about what we're facing that the men don't face, I find I really have to disengage mentally from what it means to be playing a professional brand of rugby and you're representing the sport of women's rugby as a whole. If you compare it to a Leicester Tigers men's player, if they go out there and they have a poor performance or the team doesn't perform as a whole, they can have, right, I had a bad day at the office, that wasn't my best game, next job, move on. I think oftentimes I really struggle with the fact that there are so many people that if they happen to catch that game and that's their first ever game of women's rugby, they're going to look at that and say, okay, the women don't play very good rugby.
That feels like a big pressure.
It's a lot of pressure, and I imagine you guys are both the same, you really have to disengage and categorize in your brain, because if you put that pressure on yourself every single game, it doesn't become enjoyable, and it doesn't manifest in the best rugby you're going to play. It makes every single small mistake you make feel like it has gargantuan consequences, which changes the way you play.
Yeah, but that affects the way you play. Like if that's what you're thinking about on the pitch, yeah, it's detrimental to your performance. So I think, yeah, it's about how you go forward from that, you know. But
So it feels like your gender is at the forefront of your mind.
I think it's almost impossible for it not to be when you're consuming things on social media, where if you look at any clip of women's sports, you're always going to find one person commenting, saying a negative comment about women's rugby, or like on a large amount of viral content about women's sport, you're always going to find those negative comments. So it's like, I personally have to sort of stop looking at comments on a lot of things, because it makes it become at the forefront. And for us, I think our role as professional athletes, or trying to be professional athletes, is making sure we don't let it be at the forefront, and we try and bring it back to the basics, which is rugby.
Yeah, it sounds like the general view of women's rugby is maybe that it's different, but the expectations are the same.
yes, I think that's the hardest thing about it, right?
Yeah. What affects your performance that people outside of women's sport won't think about?
Not necessarily that they won't think about, because I think the first thing that comes to mind for everyone is immediately like a woman's hormones, and like the fact we deal with periods, which is something that's foreign in men's sports. And that is a really common thing we have to think about with our like training cycles, because of the ways we go through our cycles. That will change, you know, how heavy we can lift that week, how well we can take criticism that week, which is something, or feedback from our coaches.
It's Jemima, we say.
And things like how much food we can consume, whether, you know, we're iron deficient that week, or it's all things that probably you'd expect to deal with in terms of maybe the performance on the rugby field, but you forget like the behind the scenes of how it will change, like what our gym looks like that week. And I think what's actually impressive is that the women's sports space, we think like the insular inside behind closed doors deals with it quite well. When we're doing our wellness settings, talking to our S&Cs and physios, we can let them know that we're in a particularly like tough stage of our cycle, and potentially like they're going to be more lenient with how we gym or when we gym.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think still more can be done. There's not enough research on this, and like it can change things fundamentally. And you want to see that woman at her best. How can you get there? You have to look at that kind of thing, and sometimes it's overlooked. You know, like we speak about male-dominant sport. Like, is that the reason, or is it just because there's just not enough interest in that? And I mean, it just shows like we're releasing different hormones, and at that time, you're more susceptible to injury, and that's something you can control, and that's your livelihood. And I mean, we've all been injured, and we know what that feels like. It's, you know, it's like your world's just come crashing down, and you have to experience it to, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think there's even marginal research that the ACL injuries, which are quite devastating within rugby,
in football, it's huge, and
they're more likely to occur to women in sport because of the way how we're wearing bras and stuff, like how the actual movement of our body makes us more susceptible to ACLs. and don't quote me on this, do your own research.
No,
I've
seen that.
Yeah, I can't quote the source off the top of my head, but like even the fact that like that's so under researched, we're only just finding out now the different bras we need to be wearing specifically for a contact sport. We're really lucky that we've partnered with
Mari Sports.
Mari Sports. Shout out to Mari Sports.
So they constructed a
Bra specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got like a band that goes over the top as well. That kind of like compresses it down, and the movement is way less.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
They like to a sports bra.
Yeah.
Shout out to them for actually picking up that there's such a need for that.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's so funny that you wouldn't expect your chest area has so much impact on your knees, but it does.
Impact back, knee, ankle.
Yeah.
But just on that, there's a certain hormone we release, and it causes laxity to your ligaments and your tendons and those kind of things. It's like, how are we not setting training programs based on that? Like,
Okay, what is a non-negotiable in your team?
And
we have plenty of those. Go Deni, let's see if you know them.
saying hi to everyone when they rock up.
Tell them.
That's a just
I
to
can add to that if you want.
yeah, go on.
Me and another player, Enika, in our team both played in the French comp last year. Well, Enika's French, but I haven't been there last year as well. And a big part of the French comp is always going up to everyone and saying hi before training and getting a physical touch with them. And it's something we both loved from the French team. And for me, because I couldn't speak French at all when I first went, it was a really easy way to
connect.
To connect with people. And like I sort of my first training, they were all coming up, send you, and I'm like, wow, they know me already. Like, so it was such an easy way to break down any barriers. And I think especially in a program like Tigers, when you have some players like Micke coming in that are internationally capped players versus 17 or 18 year olds that are really new to the professional experience, it's a really easy way to get face time between them. No pressure or
And just kind of puts you on the same level, you know?
Yeah, my friends.
It's not like, hello, man. First bump, 18
So no hierarchy.
Yes, that's it. Well, I mean,
I think that's even an unwritten non-negotiable in our team is that lack of hierarchy. Isn't it? Ego.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I mean, we've just been so blessed with the environment that we've done, and the people.
100%.
Like, I mean, so much changed, and so many new people came in, and a lot of people had left, and management changed. Like, and we all came in, and like the more experienced players that are in the Leicester Tigers team, the older girls, and our captain at the moment, and she just said to me the other day, like, you know, you never know what you're gonna get, but we've just been so lucky with what we brought in, and especially for the first year. Like, the girls are incredible. We just have a great environment.
And we really push that principle of takes no talent, I think, because we're such a building team. We can't rely on flashy superstars, which I actually think works better for our programming. It looks like it looks like a slow start for our program. I think if anyone's following our score lines or where we are in the ladder this season, they're not necessarily probably putting on their Tigers jersey to be the first to support us. But I think if you're actually watching our games and how the team's coming together every week, you're going to look at a team that's showing up for each other and putting out gritty, resilient performances. And I don't think we could do that and come together as we do at the moment if we weren't, like you say, no egos, just wanting to build together for the team that we are.
When do you feel the most connected as a squad?
I think during just like the hard moments when we're all in it together, you look to each other and you're like, all right, I'm not by myself. We can do this all together. And like those little key moments, like after that try on the weekend, how you got emotional because we're all in to celebrate. And I think just that connection part's really meaningful.
Yeah, it's just knowing that person next to you is gonna absolutely fight for you.
Quite literally sometimes.
We have one in particular in our team.
But like that's something that, you know, you have someone that's actually going to fight for you, and that's just, again, super meaningful. So
yeah, and that's those like off-field chats and just getting to know the person a little bit more, and them being open to kind of sharing a bit more of themselves, and you kind of trying to get that out of them, you know.
So you got to trust each other.
Yeah, trust
is huge, and then that builds connection. If you don't have trust, you don't have anything.
Do you know, I think that's almost something that, if we're talking about things that differentiate men's and women's rugby, if we're talking about some upsides of not necessarily being professional yet or not going through that route, is that we come together. Technically, yes, it's our workplace, but I think for all the girls in our team, like, it feels like so much more than that. So we build these friendships and these sisterhoods around the
Sisterhood, I love that.
Yeah.
But we really are. I mean, we're lucky enough that we're all living together.
Like, it's home.
It's home.
They're people that are home, and it's not the place. And we've created that, and it's so special.
We look after each other, right?
Yeah.
And feel it.
Yeah.
And we're all very protective of each other on field and off field. And I think we've been really good this season at celebrating the small wins for each other. So something that potentially other teams would be, wow, well done, Micke got a turnover for us. We're like, whoa, this is the best thing
Yeah, we
we
say
game. We'll let Micke know, like,
Yeah.
that's how we feel about it. So that's special for us.
So if a 15-year-old girl came to you and said she wants to do what you do, what would you tell her to prepare for?
In terms of preparation, I'd probably take that more as like what she's setting herself up for. Is that, for me, what I need to do to enjoy rugby and the sport that I'm in is, like, put yourself in a bubble, essentially, which is, and we touched on it before, I love focusing just on the game and just on my joy for rugby. And if you put yourself in that bubble, it kind of removes that outside noise, whether that be rugby specific, which is selection or teammates or other teams, and then the outside noise, which is, social media, people following the sport. The disparity between the men's and women's game. If you can put yourself in a bubble and purely focus on the rugby and the joy it provides you, and the positives like that sisterhood and those transferable skills, that's my biggest piece of advice, is find a way to disconnect the two. But in a positive light, just enjoy what you do. Like, I am so lucky. I'm a young girl from Central West New South Wales in Australia. Like, my town is population 300, and I'm lucky enough to be living on the other side of the world with friends. Like, I feel like I'm living in a sisterhood house that is just so much fun. And so I'm so grateful that rugby's given me that opportunity, because I can't see a way that would have happened otherwise.
Amazing.
Yeah. I just think on one of the other points is that, like, people are going to say what they want, and that's one thing that you cannot control. The only thing you can control is your actions and what you say. Now you leave people feeling. But the one thing you can't is someone will always have an opinion. And once you can accept that early enough, then your focus is you. And I think you'll strive a lot earlier than later.
Yeah. I think, the biggest thing is just enjoying having fun, even at such a young age and during the sport, because you're not going to be able to put as much time as you need to be able to get into that professional environment if you don't love what you do, and enjoy the process as well. So
yeah, and also just keep questioning your why. Like, maybe it changes over time. From a 15-year-old to a 30-year-old, like, it's going to change. But keep questioning that. Ask yourself why you still do what you do, and if you still love it,